It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
All right, turn that shit down, producer boy. Welcome to another episode of Markout Radio Goes Nitro with your boy Dark Fox. Now, for those of you paying attention at home, there wasn't one last week. Sorry about that. Listen, with all this COVID shit going on, haven't had the kids out to see mom in quite a while. Thought that you guys wouldn't miss me for for 1 week. I think that was true. Pretty sure that was true. Let's be honest. All right, let's kick off back where we left off, which was, of course, Spring Stampede. Happened. Jesus. Happened in the Coliseum in Tupelo, Mississippi. First and obviously most annoying was this yeehaw bullshit going on all night long. It's on brand. It's just annoying. That's all I'm saying. The intro is absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen or heard in wrestling, and I've seen Sean Waltman live. There was also a bit of a fuck you shenanigans in the bookings, as the women's match was legit built for 2 weeks and then got 5 minutes on the card. So there you go. Even the shortest men's match was almost twice as long. Fuck you, ladies wrestling. Congratulations, Medusa, on making a horse's ass out of yourself on television, throwing a title belt in the garbage from another company that basically treated you like shit too. There you go. Cheers to you. Woo. Goodness. Now, added fuckery, of course, was that Nash would challenge Rick Steiner for the tag belts later on this at the pay-per-view. Jesus. It wasn't done the worst way humanly possible. It was so on brand for WCW in the 90s. Just so... Oh, that mid-90s WCW, just that right in the main vein there. Come on. That bullshitty fucktard booking shit. Oh, so good. All right, anyways. The pay-per-view itself drew 8,356 people, with 7,428 actually paying to be there. A gate of $107,115. And the pay-per-view itself had 145,000 buys. Matches for that pay-per-view: Rey Mysterio defeats Ultimo Dragon in a singles match, 14 minutes, 55 seconds. Akira Hokuto, as the champion, retains versus Medusa, 5 minutes, 13 seconds. Yeah, that's right. Prince Iaukea retains against Steven Regal in 10 minutes and 1 second. Public Enemy defeats Mongo and Jarrett in a tag match, 10 minutes, 42 seconds. Malenko retains against Chris Benoit in a no contest for the United States strap, 17:53. Kevin Nash retains with the help of Six and Ted DiBiase versus Rick Steiner, 10 minutes 20 seconds. Lex Luger defeats the Giant Booker and Stevie Ray in 18:18. DDP defeats Randy Savage in a no DQ match in 15:38. But it was a decent pay-per-view. I'm not going to shit on it or anything. It was all right. But we're here to talk about Nitro, right? This is episode 82 of Markout Radio Goes Nitro. So this is Nitro's 43rd win in a row, with a 3.7 in the ratings to Raw's 2.2, 6,058 in attendance at $83,711 gate. The show kicked off with the final moments from Spring Stampede from last night, where Savage is going to smack around Kim. There was no preamble here, by the way. It was just full on, here we are. Macho's got Kim by the hair, and no one knows why. Because, of course, Tony and Larry weren't in position yet to comment on it yet. So basically, we see Macho, who's all sweaty, all alone in a ring with Kim and a referee, and he's got her by the hair. Don't get me wrong. I understand, when you start things off a shot out of the gun like this, things aren't always going to go awesome. But I mean, again, you're the number one wrestling show on television right now. Get your fucking shit together. Figure out what you're doing. It's not even a production value thing. It's just a get your head out of your ass thing. But anyways, it starts off with these final moments from Spring Stampede where Savage is going to smack around Kim. Bischoff waves him off. Macho ends up pie-facing Bischoff onto his ass, and then the NWO came running out to break things up, leading into Nitro's actual intro back again this week. Back from the intro montage, Shivani and Zbyszko recap the main event, analyze the potential downfall of the NWO, which of course we all know is not happening and won't. Hugh Morrus and Konnan in the first match defeat Alex Wright and Psychosis. Gave that one 3 out of 5. It was a weird pairing of Psychosis and Wright, but they actually worked pretty well together. DDP arrives, his shoulder is all iced up, so we get sort of that backstage footage of him. Not bad, and he just wants us all to know that this isn't over with Savage yet. Goofy little spot at the end of the match from Konnan as he and Psychosis do a finishing move, essentially, so that Konnan can get the double pin, even though Hugh Morrus had already gotten the pinfall victory. Post-match, Morrus cuts a promo into the camera about the dungeon being the Generation X. Now, for those of you keeping track of home, D-Generation X itself formed on camera in August 11, 1997, so that's a few months down the road yet. Now, the story on where DX's name came from has changed over the years, and depending on who you ask, how much they're trying to put themselves over at that situation, and basically who's listening. Now, the story finally settled on being anti-establishment, which is clearly true, but why D-Generation X? Could possibly be due to this post-match promo, since both brands' talent were watching each other's show and at times ripping off what each other were doing. After this, Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Lord Steven Regal via disqualification. I gave that 3.5 out of 5. We break from a fairly dull beginning of this match to see Hogan, Bischoff, Vince, and DiBiase arrive in a limo together. Regal then, back in the match, botches a whip over the top rope. It kind of looked like he was trying to do the Flair thing, but realized that he's not nimble enough to do that and just kind of did a header over the top rope. And then held on for dear life so that he could roll over and not land on his stupid fucking head. However, that being said, he then does go on to sell Mysterio's flippy-dippy offense very well before transitioning into his shooter-style offense, which Mysterio then sold like crazy. Regal then, to end the match, would not release the Regal stretch on Mysterio, gets himself disqualified. Prince Iaukea does a run out to make the save, ends up in a stretch of his own. Tony then tells us that Prince has a title defense tonight. So that was actually very cleverly done. I don't even, what do you even do there? Thank you. That's exactly what you do there, producer boy. Well done. Now, eventually a trio of zebras end up in the ring there. Regal leaves the ring, but not before stomping both guys a few more times just to drive the point home. Post-match, the limo number 2 arrives with Savage, Liz, Bagwell, Wall Street, Norton, Six, Fake Sting, and of course, Kevin Nash. We then get to see a still image recap of the Prince Regal match, the macing incident for Scotty Steiner, followed by the Nash Rick Steiner match, and an argument post-match between Nash and DiBiase. After this, Chris Benoit defeats Ice Train. I gave that 3 out of 5. Train back to full tights and singlet, updated to suit his gimmick, back doing the whole ice gimmick. Benoit's stiff chest slaps lead to a bit of a stiff exchange between Benoit and Train. We get a picture side by side of the NWO getting their shit together backstage in their locker room, apparently. Benoit whips Train back into Teddy Long in the ring, capitalizes on that for the pinfall victory. Post-match, we get a still image recap of the Benoit Malenko match from Stampede. I guess we're not going to get any promos for anybody tonight. We're just going to get still image recaps. Trying to sell the replay, I guess, for Stampede coming up on Tuesday. The fuck do you even do? I don't know what to tell you. I hate the still image shit. Like, we started off the show with video footage of Macho looking to ragtag Kim around. That there's nothing wrong with that. They own the copyright to it. It's not like they're ruining anything. But the still image recaps of matches, I don't know. I understand what it's being done to do to promote selling the replay, but you're essentially telling people who won and who lost anyways. And I'm sorry, but no one cares enough about wrestling to go back and watch the pay-per-view to see how that ended. You spoiled it for them. It's over now, but whatever. Recapping the double team premiere from last week's Nitro during Nitro, and WCW kindly made sure to let us know that it was going on during Nitro with the date tag at the bottom of your screen. We get to see that Hogan was indeed fucked off to Chicago to watch this premiere. By the way, who does premieres in Chicago? Like, nothing against the Windy City, but why the fuck are you doing premieres in Chicago? I thought when you did premieres, you did them in like New York or LA. Like, why? Whatever. Dennis Rodman, by the way, Larry quips that Mrs. Rodman is there, which was great. Funny as shit. And yeah, I mean, Dennis Rodman literally looked like the world's worst drag queen. Anyways, after this, Kevin Sullivan defeats Hector Guerrero. I gave that 1 out of 5. The state of the ring jacket on Hector Guerrero. I guess he is moonlighting as a more flamboyant musketeer. Sullivan has a lovely velvet robe on for his entrance and has changed back to his black trunks. Hector shows off what it looks like when you're a total greenhorn learning how to take bumps for the first time. Holy shit. Elementary is being very generous with what the fuck Hector was doing in the ring tonight. But at least Sullivan isn't burying active roster wrestlers anymore, so there is that. He does not get a ta-da for not burying the guys that he's in charge of putting over. Can you give me something else? Just something, anything else. There we go. That's more like it. Now, at the end of the match, even Tony doesn't know what to make of the Valvoline slow-mo recap, so Larry steps in and bullshits like a seasoned veteran. Yet another Spring Stampede still image recap, this time of the Horseman Public Enemy match leading into break. Back from break, we get the NWO promo in ring. DiBiase starts things off playing moderator. Hogan calls out Nash. Nash replies. The whole thing sort of calms down, I guess. I don't know. Nash was delivering lines that he very clearly didn't give two shits about repeating because, see, the funny thing is wrestling isn't, I'm just going to go on a limb here and say this, okay? Wrestling is not fake. Yes, it is preordained conclusions, but that doesn't make it, it's stage stunt acting, and it's fucking hard, like it is. And if you're a wrestler, you've been taught how to take stage fighting bumps. You don't always learn how to act. And Kevin Nash hasn't always been the greatest actor in the universe. I don't think I'm spoiling anyone. I don't think I'm shooting on anybody. I don't think that he'd even say that he's that great of an actor. He does have a very fantastic look. Loved him in John Wick. But here's the thing. He's too personally involved in what's going on with Hall, and way too personally involved with what's going on backstage with all the drama going on there. And he very clearly doesn't know how to switch that shit off to go out to do anything in front of a camera, really. But anyways, Savage and Bischoff are told to settle things and to stop being fucking goofs. So they're on probation with each other. So much for not being goofs, though.
0.0.
Back from commercial break, Flair comes out, calls out Piper. Not a whole lot is said here other than intimating that Piper got laid last week. And then they put over Kevin Green's return. He comes down to the ring. Speaking of musketeers, Kevin Green's facial hair basically looks like he's trying to be a fucking musketeer. RIP, buddy, but Jesus fuck, who told you could grow facial hair? Here we go. Dean Malenko defeats Chris Jericho to retain the WCW United States Championship after this. Gave that one 3.5 out of 5. New tights for Jericho, as we get a recap from last week's Jericho Regal match. Malenko comes out with his without his baby vest on, but oiled up like he's been hanging out with Luger. But speaking of which, that kind of reminds me, why haven't we talked about Luger at all tonight? Last night he won a shot against Hogan for the title. What? Why are we here in the card and we still haven't heard about Luke? Anyways, he's only the guy you've been putting over for how long? Jericho gets slammed into the top ring post by accident. It busts open his forehead and possibly breaks his nose. That's more kayfabe than anything else because he does come back and his face is all patched up from about like the brow line to like the mid forehead. I don't know if it peeled the skin back or anything, but he was covering it and it was bleeding like crazy. Malenko checks on Jericho, looks upset that he hurt someone, and work kicks Jericho in the face and then pins him for the win. Now, other than Tony drawing attention to Malenko checking on Jericho, this was actually covered up quite well. Now, in retrospect, because Tony's been doing this for, at this point, 15 years, maybe he should have said that Malenko was goading Jericho or trash talking Jericho and then kicked him when he was down and couldn't respond. That would have been a better way to put over Malenko's, aggressive streak that he's been pushing for this long. But, hindsight 2020 booking. What can I tell you? High Voltage, Kenny Kaos, and Robbie Rage defeat the Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge, and Flyboy Rocco Rock. I gave this 3 out of 5. Johnny Grunge is getting too fat for his shades. You see this sometimes. Listen, I'm guilty of it at times as well. When your sunglasses are not wide enough for your fat ass face, and your face, the sunglasses are putting a crease, a bubble up, you see it on bra straps all the time. It's just, it is what it is, right? So he's got bra on his face and his fat is spilling out the other side of it. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry if that triggers you, but come on now. It's a good visual. Anyways, Jesus Christ. What are you looking at me like that for, producer? Anyways, mediocre match at best with a goofy ending when Grunge puts himself through a shittily worked table. Post-match, of course, the losers are going to get a promo with Gene because everyone wants to hear from the people that just lost. Still image recap of the Misterio Dragon match from Stampede last night. And back from break, Prince is getting wrapped up backstage about an hour after he got worked over by Regal. So that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, when you're injured, it makes 100% perfect sense for someone to treat that injury like an hour after it happens. You don't want to do it right away. You just never know, right? You just never know. Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray with sister Sherry defeats Jeff Jarrett and Steve Mongo McMichael with fucking Deborah. I gave this one 3 out of 5. No Mongo coming down to ringside at the beginning of the match. No one seems to know why. Deborah says to the camera that he may have been having car problems. I'm not sure how you as a wrestler have car problems and yet your wife is here. So whose car was she in? Leave that one hanging out there all naked and gross, shall we? Tony finally mentions Luger, but only in relation to Luger and the Giant having honor among friends. Sherry gets in some shots. Tenay, like a jackass, draws similarity to Jackie, forgetting, of course, perhaps that Sherry has been wrestling for about 25 years at this point, and Jackie's basically been wrestling for 2, 3, maybe. Mongo calmly walks out of the ring towards the end of this match, gets tagged in, wipes the mat with the heat, and then tags in Jarrett, who looks shocked, gets the Harlem hangover, and suffers the pinfall. Post-match is an in-ring promo with Jarrett, Mongo, Deborah, and Gene. Basically just a chance for everyone to put themselves over. Well, I mean, except for Deborah, who fucking doesn't get to speak for a chance. Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad we don't have that here. And I have removed Glorious from my soundboard app, so unfortunately you're not going to get that, but just know that it's there. It's there in spirit, brother. It's there in spirit. Time for that golden voice bastard Lee Marshall to call in from the road with the 1-800-COLLECT road report from Philly. Unfortunately, this one, well, this one bombed.
Now you start using your head. That's that lump that's 3 feet above your ass.
Are you crying? Are you crying?
Are you crying?
There's no crying.
There's no crying in baseball.
Ultimo Dragon defeats Prince Iaukea to win the WCW World Television Championship match in what's technically your main event. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Essentially, Iaukea had the job to Dragon, but it was decently done, just not main event quality. There's a still image recap of the Four Corners match at Stampede with no clue who won it, leading us into break. Back from break, Giant comes out to Luger's music, but his own lighting. Scott Steiner comes out. Looks like they're trying to have a match. However, Scotty Steiner's eyes are perfectly fine, even though somebody emptied a mace bottle into them last night. Konnan and Morrus come out, lay out Scotty, and then Giant comes out. He and Steiner back the dungeon off, and then they leave to a chorus of boos because fans thought they were going to get a Giant versus Scotty Steiner match. Now, we get another still image recap of the Nash-Rick Steiner match again. Back from break, DDP comes out with his shoulder still iced up. This is the Anomaly promo that put DDP over the top as a performer. He calls out Savage, who eventually does come out. Hogan waves him off and offers to take on DDP for him. Sting descends from the rafters to a huge pop. And, at this point, they just sort of back off the NWO. Sting gives DDP a bat. it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it really at the end of the day. However, we're still ending shows with promos. In this case, it was okay. The idea here is that just like a television show, you want to leave on a cliffhanger to encourage people to tune in next week. Only that this episode of Nitro was just objectively weaker than last week. We're giving it 3 out of 5 this week. The NWO infighting is being used because they've buried pretty much anyone that was willing to feud with the stable, and now all they're left with is fighting with each other. It's something we saw over the years with a lot of stables, but most notably with the Horsemen. Sullivan and Flair would know this and know how hard it is to put over infighting while maintaining heat on everyone in that stable, but here we are again. The NWO are infighting, the Horsemen are infighting, the Dungeon is a stable in name only, the tag division's fizzled out because one of the champions is in fucking rehab. In the mad dash to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, Eric has left himself dangerously overextended to the point where Turner is legitimately watching WCW's books closely. And while Eric might be kayfabe suspended, he is actually legitimately under a lot of scrutiny from the VP of Sports, and they are watching him like a fucking hawk. So WCW has to work with what they currently have, and Eric doesn't know how to program without swerves that cost a lot of money. Sullivan could probably help him out here, but he's distracted with his real-life drama bleeding into his kayfabe drama and trying to put over the latest woman that he's drilling. Flair is getting treated like shit backstage. There's legit heat between he and Bischoff, according to both of their biographies. And while I'm glad that Eric had the balls to admit that he was stupid to ignore Flair's advice now, on this episode of Nitro, he's not listening, and it's a train wreck of a fucking show. Nash's hands aren't clean either here, though. For a guy who admits that he's all about the money, he's sure been making a lot of ego-based decisions and moves and acting like a gigantic fucking baby backstage, and it's bleeding into the live product. Now, honestly, I wish I could be more positive here. I was really into Nitro at this point in my life, but over the next few weeks, Nitro is going to keep slipping and slipping and slipping in the ratings while Raw is going to start to climb. We're going to be seeing some nail-bitingly close numbers all the way to Bash of the Beach 97, which is about 8 weeks away at this point, when the whole wrestling industry is going to take off with Nitro, thankfully, out in the lead.
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.